All right, guys, Eric on here at the Build Show Live. We're with Frank Ambrose, InOvate booth. Frank, you've got a whole storyline behind each one of these products. Dryer venting. How can we improve dryer venting?
Well, it's interesting. I'm going to start with a story. It starts 25 years ago. There's a builder in Jupiter, Florida named Rick. And if you're familiar with Jupiter or Palm Beach County, you know there's a little bit of money there. So people are willing to pay for whatever it takes to have the most efficient homes, all the latest gadgets. Rick was successful, but Rick had a problem. His wife was not happy. The reason his wife wasn't happy, every 2 to 3 months, he would have to pull the dryer away from the wall, clean up all the lint that was back there, and unclog the thing because it was such an inefficient setup. It happened so often that he actually built a little dolly with wheels so he could easily pull the dryer out from the wall. Problem solved, right?
No.
Wrong.
Is this all because he had bad venting?
It was a bad connection between the dryer and the ductwork. So problem solved wrong because his wife still wasn't happy. While he was cleaning one time, she said, "You're a fancy builder, right?" He said, "Yeah." "You know, you should invent something that eliminates this problem and lets me push the dryer against the wall because it just looks stupid sticking out in front of the dryer." And he said, with any good husband, "You're right, dear." So he looked at the washing machine to see what's the difference, and he noticed there's a recessed box for the water spigot, and that's when it hit him. I'm going to invent a metal receptacle that installs in the wall behind the dryer, facilitates the connection and collection of the transition hose, otherwise known as the dryer box. How many people here know about the dryer box? At least half of you, right?
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense because right now, roughly 55% of every new home built in the United States has the dryer box installed in it. Now, the one thing Rick realized, and all of you should realize, is this is just step one of the system. Safe and efficient dryer venting includes a whole system until it actually gets out of your home. So that's where we started with the dryer box. And as Rick started looking at the very complex page-and-a-half code in the International Builders Code about dryer venting, he saw opportunities to make things better.
Right.
So that's where we'll start. With the dryer box, as far as efficiency, you eliminate a 5-foot elbow that comes through the ductwork, that comes through the drywall.
Yeah, because every elbow is going to be an equivalent of pipe, correctly?
Correct.
Or so for 4-inch piping venting, that's standard for dryer venting. 5 feet is per adjustable elbow?
A standard 90-degree elbow measures as 5 feet of duct run. So installing the dryer box, you automatically eliminate that. So not only do you have more actual duct run you can use, but you've improved the efficiency of your dryer.
So you've got multiple versions of this, but I see how it's really kind of comes out of the wall, makes for a nice clean finish. You could go up out of the dryer box or down through the floor.
This is the one model, the DB480, that can actually be used for up venting or down venting.
Okay, so you're just flipping the box over.
Right. For standard up venting, if you know that's what you're doing, the DB425, and this is the most popular version. It installs right on the base plate, so there's no guesswork, and there's nice hard edges for your drywall to go in and for your base plate. Also, this is paintable. So if you want to, when you're painting the wall, you don't have to tape it off. You can paint that.
So these must have some sort, this is like a UL listing on this?
This is UL rated for a 1-hour firewall.
And you've got knockouts on here for gas and electric?
There is a knockout there for gas, absolutely.
Okay, very cool. Well, not electric, sorry.
Not electric.
Sorry. Yeah, that would be a whole different enclosure. Paintable, so is that what this display is right here?
Yes, this is a painted version. We went ahead and painted that. And we go through extra processes, the manufacturing, so it will receive paint.
Okay.
So it is paint ready.
So explain to me how you eliminate the 5-foot elbow when I know you have to have your venting connection on it. How does that eliminate that 5 feet?
So the measurement starts with the hard pipe.
Okay.
The measurement of the duct run does not include the transition hose.
Okay.
So it starts with the hard pipe. So if I've eliminated an elbow, that's 5 feet, but then also there's some extra distance, particularly for the up venting, that I've taken out as well. So it saves almost 6 feet of equivalent like duct run.
Okay.
Now,
That's impressive.
I'm just wondering, how many people do multifamily construction out there? A couple? Okay.
Yep.
So with multifamily, a lot of times you have to go a long way to get outside of the home. So a standard elbow, the more you put in, that's 5 feet every time. What we found is with a long-term radius elbow, the airflow efficiency is the same as straight pipe.
Okay.
So this will save you a minimum 3.5 feet for every standard elbow you replace.
So there's almost no penalty using this versus a standard elbow.
Correct. This measures 18 inches, the actual length of the ductwork.
Okay.
But because it actually eats up some of that straight pipe, it's almost a 4 feet of savings.
Really?
For the equivalent length.
So much more efficient. You're not going to be extending dryer times. You're not going to have problems with lint buildup in the system, stuff like that.
Right. And the other thing is oftentimes multifamily builders will put in a booster fan.
Okay.
To help with getting that duct. Those actually have recently been set against code.
Really?
So you're not meant to be using booster fans. And the thing is, this is always on compared to a booster fan. This does not turn off, and you can actually clean it. Booster fans that have a fan in the middle of the ductwork, you can clean up to it, you can clean after it, but you can't clean that center section.
Which would also require serviceability, access, things like that.
Right.
Okay. Okay, but I see you've got here your transition pieces. You want to talk about this product here?
Yeah, so Dryer Flex is something you have to have UL 2158A rated flex duct. This can only be used in the laundry room, maximum of 8 feet. But the beauty of this stuff is you can actually take a blowtorch to it, it will not catch on fire.
Is it like a laminated product or like multi-layer?
It
or what
is
is that?
multi-layered aluminum, and if I wheel this around, you'll see that it's easily extendable, compressible. It can get smashed and actually will bounce back. And the other thing is, even when it's compressed, it maintains a 4-inch inner diameter.
Right.
Other slinky foil compresses on itself and actually reduces the interior diameter down to about 3.5 inches, which reduces the airflow efficiency.
A penalty against your 35-foot max that you have for your venting.
This is not part of that 35
That's
foot.
right. See?
This is not part of the 35 foot. This is attached to your hard pipe.
I keep grouping that in there. I apologize. I'm sorry for it. So this is only inside the inside the laundry room. It can't be used for termination or venting.
It cannot.
Okay.
By code, you can use transition duct, maximum 8 feet, and it has to be visible at the appliance.
Okay. Okay. So you're not penetrating through walls
Correct.
or through the floor or anything like that.
That all has to be hard pipe.
Okay. So this product though, is it the dryer L? You've got a 45 and you've got a 90.
Correct.
And it's installed exactly like we would install our venting system.
Right. So you're going to tape the ends of it, and just like anything else, you're going to tape the seams. So you will put that with tape, cover with tape to maximize that airflow efficiency going through it.
Right. Right. Now this is, you said it's 18 inches. It's got, but you also have code compliance, like actual code calling out not your product, but calling out like the penalties for fittings and things like that?
Yeah, so actually in the code, there is actually a table that will say what the equivalent length is for 4-inch radius, for 6-inch radius, 8-inch radius, 10-inch radius. The standard elbow is a 4-inch radius turn, and that measures, for a 90 degree, measures 5 feet. So it spells out in the code that if you have a 10-inch radius, which is what the dryer L is, it measures as 1 foot 6 inches.
Very cool.
So that is specified in the code.
So
now we talk about efficiency,
yeah.
Right?
Yep.
This gets it in the house, but then, again, your dryer has to breathe. So we talk about the dryer box, and that's one of the 3 main takeaways.
Right.
The dryer box is just the start. So if you're thinking dryer box, think system, number 1. Number 2, we always talk about you want to have the shortest, most direct duct run.
Yep.
For your dryer. And that might be going up, and we'll talk about how we can get that later. And the last thing is, your dryer has to breathe. The only way your dryer is going to get close dry is if it breathes. So we want to talk about, if I'm underwater with a reed sucking air and somebody starts pinching the end, I can't breathe.
Right.
So all this is great, but if your vent terminations are not allowing that airflow and allowing your dryer to breathe, you're hurting yourself.
Which I feel like you're setting us up to talk about your next product, which is going to be the termination portion of the system, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So it doesn't matter what dryer you have. If there's inefficiency in how it breathes, it's not going to work.
Right.
So we talk about, commonly people go through a wall because it's easy and they don't want to go up, so they go out through a wall. Well, we all know that with a dryer vent termination, you cannot have a screen on it.
Correct.
Why is that?
For catching the lint, really. Ultimately, it's gonna catch that lint, and that's gonna be passing through the system, and that isn't caught by the appliance, and it's gonna cause reduction in airflow.
Right, right. So anything that starts collecting at the end is going to clog the breathability, so to speak. So the dryer wall vent, first of all, I don't know if you've held one before.
Yeah, I've actually installed it recently. I mean, I don't know what the gauge steel is you're using here.
This is 26 gauge, the damper door is 30 gauge.
So it's very robust. I mean, you can feel it just when you grab it.
Yes.
This is a lot more durable than the vinyl products we're putting in. The stuff you're gonna just go grab off the shelf that we're used to seeing
Right.
is not nearly as durable.
And that's one reason I want to point that out, because it looks so beautiful with the powder coating that some people think it's plastic. That is metal, 100% metal. So the other thing is, when that damper door is open, there is nothing blocking that airflow. A 3-louver plastic damper door, sure, the plastic opens easily, but right across the middle is a collection point for lint. Right? The other thing is, because those plastics are so lightweight, birds in flight can get their beak up under there and crawl in and put a nest. Because this is metal, this is not magic, this is magnets. Inside the rubber bumper here, we have a patented system of there's a magnet in there. That's what prevents the bird and rodent entry. So we can keep critters out without putting a screen in there.
So beyond the weight of the product itself, the bird may have difficulty doing that, but you're just securing it. You can actually feel that when you push on it from behind.
There's a slight resistance.
But how does that affect performance? Is there a performance penalty there, or is it because this is meeting some kind of specification you've tested?
Well, we've done the testing to make sure that we didn't create so much back pressure and so much issue.
Okay.
We tested 25 feet of duct run with two 90-degree elbows. 27 CFM will overcome the magnets.
That's nothing.
That's nothing.
Typical
The dryer
dryer
has
vent?
200.
Yeah.
200 CFM.
Yeah.
So in that respect, anybody out here familiar with this? All right. Are you using it besides for a dryer? So yeah, you can use this for a bath fan, because most bath fans are putting out much more than 27 CFM.
Yeah, so minimum bath fans we're putting in are typically around 50 CFM.
Right.
So this would work just fine for that application.
This would work. Now, what we recommend, because we don't know everyone's situation,
Right.
we don't know the ductwork that's being used, our recommendation is you want to use a minimum 70 CFM fan.
Okay.
But as a builder, and you're there, you know I'm going 10 feet right out the wall.
Right.
Would be fine with the 50 CFM.
Okay.
Right? So that's just something to consider with that.
Now, one thing, when I did the installation, recently I had a retrofit.
Okay.
I had the collared version, so I was
Right.
connecting the dryer vent into this with a tape seal here. But you were showing me off camera before we started that you don't have to have the challenge being is that your fastening is right here on the inside.
Right.
And if the sub framing there wasn't totally perfect, hole wasn't cut properly,
Right.
you might not be able to get this attached as cleanly as you'd like. You were showing me how this actually comes apart, and you get even further out with your fasteners if needed.
Right. So one thought is the majority of our sales are for new construction.
Yeah.
So that works great. But we deal with a lot of service companies, and one thing we pride ourselves on, one of our company values is improvement. And the only way we can improve things is talk to the people in the field,
Right.
and contractors. So when you're doing a retrofit or a remodeling and you pull off an old vent, the GKW factor a friend of mine talks about, God knows what you will find in there.
Yeah.
So sometimes without a collar is a better option.
Okay.
That this will interface and be an easier interface with that. But the other thing is, as you mentioned, standard installation using the interior holes for the mount. But if those are stripped out or there's not material there,
Okay.
underneath you'll see there are two screws. If you take that out, this is another patented feature, there is a backing plate. The backing plate
Okay.
provides a wider footprint for installation. So this would be installed, and then once you're done with that, you just slide this back in. I got it upside down. Thank God it's idiot-proof. You slide it back in, and you would install then the screws. And that is a great retrofit.
Can I see that again, but can we take it apart?
Sure.
So I noticed, like, when you look at that backing plate,
It just slides down.
there we go. You actually get a lot, you take that termination hood off, and now we've got an ability to do a lot more sealing too.
Yeah,
like in a
absolutely.
retrofit application, let's say.
Right,
Where,
right.
you know, so I understand this is great for new construction, but for retrofit, this removable backplate not only gives you better fastening points, but you can do a lot better sealing
Yes.
on the penetration through the wall. That's pretty cool.
Any questions about the dryer wall vent or its applications? And again, this can be used for a bath fan as well, so you'd have a uniform look for your vent terminations, as well as there is a 6-inch version. So the 6-inch version, because it's not for any dryer, it already has the screen installed.
Okay.
And this one doesn't have it, but as of a week ago, we have magnets in the bumpers there as well, because we thought, well, that damper was big enough and heavy enough, it won't flap in the wind, but we've got about 2 or 3 complaints, so we thought, let's do it. So we're putting the magnets in for the 6-inch version as well.
And that has a removable backplate too.
Same
It's just
thing.
built the same way.
The same design, it's just bigger.
Do you offer this with a collar as well?
This comes with a collar as well. So
And
they're
what
both
would the
options
6-inch
for that.
application be? What are you hoping that, you know, what are you educating people to use this for?
There are some situations where people will tie a number of bath fans in and just have a 6-inch termination. So anything that has a 6-inch termination on it, some people for range hoods as well, they're using a 6-inch
Yep.
for that type
Yep.
of application. So any place you need to exhaust with a 6-inch ductwork.
And with the single louver, how about, I got a question, maybe I'm off base here, but how do we know that, how can we rely on that this is going to stay intact? Is that because of the metal construction? You're not seeing, you're like, you're guaranteeing this is going to stay intact?
We get calls about different things. I've never had a call about
That's
this
what I
not
thought.
being
Yep.
intact, right?
That was my first impression is how robust this was when I first installed it.
Well, and again, so you can see that pin extends well beyond, so it's not going to slip out the side, and it gets about 3/4 of the way in, and then it's spring loaded as well. So that keeps it in place.
What kind of finish is on these? What are you using to finish that?
This is a powder coating,
Okay.
standard powder coating, and we have done corrosion testing with it. We've done salt spray testing. It is corrosion resistant.
Do you offer multiple colors, or what? Are they like just like a couple
We
colors?
do. The standard colors are white, tan, black, and brown.
Okay.
If you are doing a multifamily project and you're going to need 35 or more of a color to mid a trim, we do have a color palette available. So this is from one of our custom color projects.
Okay.
Right? This matched a very specific brick. So if you're doing a bigger project and you want to order a specific color, we do have the option of some custom color. And the thing is, it adds a little lead time, a little more expensive, but it shows up ready to install. You don't have to get it, have somebody paint, or set up a paint station and
Right,
unassemble things.
right.
It's ready to go. So at the end of the day, it's comparable to you painting your own. We do get those requests. It's like, do you really want that headache?
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess so, if you're doing onesie, twosie, or if you're just never working with the same kind of
Right.
color palette,
Right.
you might have to consider painting, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
but it's paintable.
So that covers those. Does anybody refuse to vent a dryer through the roof? Anyone? Couple people? Okay. So some people say, well, you should never vent a dryer through the roof.
Right.
And based on what historically has been available, I would agree with them.
Well, I live in a cold climate, snow sitting on the roof, things like that.
Right.
Is probably the number one reason I think is given for why you shouldn't vent through the roof with a
Right,
dryer.
right.
Would you agree with that?
I would say that would be an issue depending, and so knowing, if you have a south-facing or north-facing roof,
Yeah.
how much snow accumulation you actually get, that would be a consideration. We don't want to create any ice dams from snow melt.
Right.
Right.
And I think with what's been on the market for so long, you really have like no leeway with snow accumulation because they just don't have a good clearance.
Right. So we do have an extra clearance model. If snow is the issue, I could understand wanting to avoid that. But the more common thing that I hear people saying is, well, the lint doesn't get up, it gets stuck up there and then falls right back down. Well, that's true if you're using a standard roof vent termination that is not designed to vent a dryer.
Okay, you're saying because of the design is the biggest penalty there.
That has created inefficiencies. So we talked about, again, if I'm breathing through a straw and somebody plugs in, I can't breathe.
Interesting.
If you're venting your dryer through the roof and at the end of it it's clogged up, your dryer can't breathe.
Okay.
So there is new code that has given guidance and actually brought more attention to our product. Number one, and always standard, you cannot have a screen.
Right.
Majority of roof vent terminations have a screen. Some of them say on the box, not intended to vent a dryer.
Right.
Or you must remove the screen. The other thing is that's new, you cannot diminish the volumetric airflow. We all know the majority of roof vent terminations out there have a smaller opening.
Right.
Because they want to prevent things from getting in.
Squirrels?
Well, squirrels. So we want to prevent decreasing the volumetric airflow.
Right.
Right? So the dryer jack, number one, very big opening. It actually would allow more air to flow out of it than 4-inch round pipe can get to it.
Well, let me see this one here. We'll hold them side by side. So there, you're saying that this is marketed for dryer venting. I've seen it 100 times.
This is marketed as a roof vent termination.
Yeah.
People use it for a dryer.
Right. I've seen it 100 times on houses. I've seen it in new construction and retrofit.
Yes.
But of course, we can't leave this screen in place, and just the clearance alone. I mean, that's important. But you're saying the volume, because of the design, you're able to get the proper airflow through that.
Here, right.
This is choked down.
Right.
And actually, they've even got this lip here.
Yes.
That's a huge penalty. I never thought about that before.
It's not designed for a dryer, and because this is what's always been available, people have said you should never vent a dryer through the roof. Anybody vent their dryer through the roof? So again, this is why people don't vent a dryer through the roof, because they're using vent terminations that aren't designed for a dryer. This is designed specifically for dryer venting.
And it's physically larger too, like overall.
Right.
You've got a more volume capability.
So besides no screen and the bigger opening, here's the biggest thing. Even if you have a gooseneck roof vent termination, the damper door is flat. Right in here, the damper door in there is flat.
Okay.
The dryer jack, the roof vent termination, we learned from the dryer elbow that if you have a smooth turn, the air flows.
Okay.
Patented damper door that's curved that allows the air to flow.
So I see that it follows the contour of the hood.
Yes.
So it doesn't inhibit the opening size at all.
And the other thing is, if air is coming up and hits a flat surface, some of it is redirected right back down into the ductwork.
Okay.
Right? So that's creating back pressure and resistance for that lint to get up and out. This allows the lint to get up and out, so it's not going to collect and fall back down into the dryer.
Okay.
Right? And I can illustrate that really quickly here.
Yeah, let's see it. I love this kind of, I want a demo, hands-on here.
So we call this the daddy.
Okay.
The demonstration apparatus for dryer instruments.
Oh,
okay?
I get it. Yeah,
Now,
see what you did there.
So imagine this red box is your dryer. The magnet heligauge here represents how much resistance to airflow.
Okay.
It's in water column inches of pressure, standard measurement.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
So you can see if I start to block some of that air termination, that water column inches of pressure resistance goes up. Brand new home, absolutely clean ductwork. There's a little bit of friction of the air flowing through there.
Yeah,
right?
friction of the piping system.
I put on this roof vent termination, and what happens to that resistance? I think it goes up to about 0.4 water column inches of pressure.
I got to get around the other side so I can see this. Okay, you're right at, 0.4, yep.
So I have a brand new home, and I have this on. My dryer is facing 0.4 water column inches of resistance. Standard in the industry for dryer vent cleaning is once you get to 0.6 water column inches, you should clean your ductwork. So I'm already almost there in a brand new home. When I take the dryer jack that has 1, a bigger opening, 2, no screen, and 3, the curved damper door,
Yeah.
when I put this on, where are we going, about 0.2?
Yeah, 0.2, half as much.
So half the resistance. Half the resistance with the dryer jack. Allows that lint to get up and out because of the curved design and the big opening on that.
Now, a minute ago, I was talking about the clearance because of snow being the cold
Right.
climate. Maybe if you're flatter pitch roofs, things like that, you've got a model that addresses that. Does it
This
give you the
is
same, does it give you
This
a high
is the
performance?
extra clearance version.
Okay.
And unlike other goosenecks that have a flat damper door, this has that curved damper door. So let's see.
2.5, 0.25 maybe.
So this does give you that extra clearance. And because we work with service companies, part of the things we talk about with the dryer wall vent and with the dryer jack, the ability to get cleaning tools in there to actually clean the system. Obviously very easy with this. With this, it's like, oh, I don't know, how are we gonna make that turn, Eric? Well, you'll see these 2 little nuts will come off. This throat comes off and gives you full access from here to get your cleaning materials and brushes right down in there.
Now, this is a heavy gauge steel, is that correct? I mean, what's your thickness gauge on that? Why is it?
So again, that's the 26 gauge, and this is a single stamped piece. So we needed something to have enough strength that it can
Right.
withstand being stamped in a giant press. Compared to, and why do we want to do a single stamp piece? When I look at this and I see all these seams and I give this to a roofer, no way you're gonna put that on my roof, man. There's gonna be leaks all over the place. They're gonna blame my roof, but it's not my roof, it's this. So this is a single stamped piece. There are no seams on the top. The bottom is a single stamped piece. This is actually a toggle lock. This is not a rivet.
Okay.
So there's no penetration through here. So the likelihood of water finding a way to get down through the dryer jack is, I won't say 0, but is greatly reduced.
I see you've got a generous nailing flange shoe for mounting. You've got perforations there for screws or nails. So it's well thought out. I like how you've rounded the corners too.
And this is a new term, the cricket.
Okay.
So water won't accumulate back here. It actually forces the water to flow around, so you wouldn't have standing water even on a limited pitch. Now this is designed for a minimum 312 pitch roof.
That's impressive.
Okay, so water's not going to stand
Right.
there because we all know water will find a way through something if it sits there long enough.
Yeah, but to be able to handle that 312, that's what's impressive
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
Anybody can put a dryer vent on a 1012, right?
So that's why we want to be able to have good efficiency for the airflow, and we can go through because we talk about, again, one of the 3 big takeaways. We always recommend the shortest, most direct route to vent the dryer to
Okay,
maximize
yep.
the efficiency.
Yeah.
And if you're in a single-story home and you want to design, we try and give architects and developers and designers the freedom to put the laundry room wherever they want. So if you want to put the laundry room in the middle of the home on a single story, straight up through the roof, probably is your best option.
Well, and yeah, especially with the product like this.
Yes.
If you're using the dryer box,
Right.
you're eliminating 5 feet right off the bat without having that elbow. Yeah, it sounds completely logical to me.
So besides dryer venting, again, we try and be sensible about the installation or what remodelers face. The dryer jack, the roof vent terminations, we know the HVAC guys as a sub are
Yep.
typically buying this, and then they're depending on the roofer to make sure it connects to the ductwork.
Yeah.
I know it typically happens seamlessly,
Yeah, absolutely.
but some people I've talked to sometimes find an issue. So the dryer jack actually comes with the roof neck. This product connects 2 subcontractors and they never have to meet. How does that work? When the HVAC guy putting in the ductwork
Yep.
connects this to the ductwork, tapes it, puts it to the roof deck, right? This part comes through the roof deck. Now the roofer just has to come and do that.
Mate the 2 up, and it fits perfectly because it's just a metal round connection there.
And it's got a lip.
Okay, I see. So
So
that
it
was kind of
actually-
almost locking on there. Very nice.
So when I talk to an HVAC contractor and say, hey, if I can prevent 20% of your callbacks because of the ductwork, would it be worth it? Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is a big deal. Now for the roofer, right, who's doing a re-roof, again, if this is what I'm using and I have to try and make sure that this is connecting to the ductwork, I'm flying blind. I can't see, and I'm hoping that it works, and if not, I'm probably going to get a call back. Well, the same thing with this. You can put this on top of the roof deck. I have an open line of vision. Hello. So I have an open line of vision. I can see that I'm with the ductwork, nail it in, and now, not that thing, same thing.
It's almost like it's
that
magnetic, Frank. It just fits right on there. And that's that ridge on the 4-inch
Yes.
there. Okay. That's really cool. And you've got a nice long flange there for getting onto your pipe. Easy to tape and seal that on there. That's nice. Very cool. That's quite the system altogether.
So it's the system altogether. So again, number one, if you're familiar with the dryer box, which again, most people know, when you think dryer box, think system.
Right.
Because that's just the beginning. And if you're pinching the end of the straw, your dryer can't breathe. So when you think dryer box, think system. Number two, we always recommend the shortest, most direct route to vent the dryer out of the house. And we have plenty of solutions to meet those needs. And then number three, your dryer to work properly has to breathe. So I'll have a question for you.
Okay.
And if you don't know the answer, maybe somebody out here does. Why does the dryer door have a gasket on it?
I don't know why.
All right, so here's the next question. Do you know
On the door of the appliance?
on the door of the dryer.
Okay.
Do you know how a dryer actually gets closed dry?
Just with transfer of heat into the drum and then tumbling that, right?
Okay, so transfer heat into the drum because we're basically trying to turn water into steam,
Yeah.
right? And it evaporates that out. Now let me ask you this. Does the dryer get up to 212 degrees Fahrenheit?
No.
No. Well, then how is that possible, Eric? How can I turn water into steam if I'm not reaching 212 degrees Fahrenheit?
Pressure?
Creating a vacuum.
Oh, vacuum. Okay, because of the seal on the door.
That's why there's a gasket on the door.
Okay.
And so it's not that it's creating airflow through, it's actually sucking air out to create a vacuum, which is
Interesting.
why when your vent termination gets clogged, you're going to burn out the heating element of your dryer because it's never going to turn off because it's trying to create steam, and it's not going to create steam because it can't get hot enough because it's not designed to be 212 degrees. So people that get a new dryer because the heating element went out and they plug it up 6 months later, guess what they're going to have?
Possibly the same
heating
problem.
element's going to go out.
Yeah. Well, performance, we know, I mean, as a contractor, I know the performance, what I hear from the customer is like, it's just, this dryer never worked right. I'm there installing new equipment, you know, hooking it up for them. And I hear that all the time. And one of my questions to them, it's not a service I offer, but have you had your
When's the last time?
Your venting cleaned, you know? Because I understand that oftentimes it was either installed improperly, could have been done a little bit better,
Right.
because it was getting a little long, too many fittings, things like that. The termination is fabulous. Like I said, I've installed the one wall termination I thought was well built. I didn't even realize all the features that were built into it
Right.
until you showed me today. The dryer jack is, I mean, that's a no-brainer. If you have to go through the roof, you can compare it to just about any other model out there, and I don't think there is a comparison.
Not that I've seen.
Yeah, and then of course just from the very start of the system, the dryer box, which has been around forever.
Yeah.
And and it's reliable on the installation because it's repeatable. There's not a whole lot to learn. There's no learning curve.
There's no learning. So again, the biggest thing, when you think dryer box, think system. Shortest, most direct route, your dryer has to breathe. If your dryer can't breathe, you're not getting closed dry, you're putting wear and tear on the appliance, you're building up lint accumulation. Whatever lint doesn't get out of the house, Eric, it's accumulating in the back of the dryer. Now,
Right.
what's in the back of the dryer? A heating element and electrical elements. I don't know if you're familiar with how combustive lint is.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a great fire starter that the Girl Scouts use and Boy Scouts use. So if it's not getting out of the home, it's collecting in the back of the dryer. And that's 30% of every home fire starts in the laundry room, which is why there's specific building code about how to vent a dryer.
Right.
So your dryer
Right,
has to
exactly.
breathe. Your dryer has to breathe because it's trying to create a vacuum.
Awesome. Very cool. Awesome information,
Thank
Frank.
you.
Awesome
Thank you.
products. We even answered some questions for people in the crowd. That's really cool.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, appreciate it.